everyone, my name's Maya, and this year was my first year playing PDGA sanctioned events. I actually was able to do 21 events this year, and I thought it would be a great time to kind of dive into what I learned so far. So starting out with my first tournament, I remember I didn't really know what to expect because the only tournaments I had done before were non-sanctioned, like Veterans for Vets and the Circuit Challenge, stuff like that. So I was a little bit nervous, but I didn't really know any strategy, and I ended up getting a somewhat decent rating, but for me, I didn't know where my rating was, and so I really wasn't happy with it. But then once I started really caring, it kind of just went downhill from there because I started really getting in my head, and I think that's where majority of what I'm gonna say starts with is just the mental aspect and how much that plays a role in your disc golf game. After that first tournament, my rounds got drastically worse because I cared so much, and I felt just really internally frustrated, and I didn't really know what was going on, and so I later found out that what I was going through was the yips, because I could, shoot par on some holes and single bogeys or whatever, and then when it came to casual rounds, and then when it came to tournaments, I was just bogey, double bogey, triple bogey, I was just falling apart, and it got really frustrating, and so I started to do research on how I could improve my mental game. And the first thing that I really started to investigate into was some stuff on sports psychology. I read a few books for golf on sports psychology. I think one of the books was Par 54, Every Shot Must Have a Purpose. And then one of the other common books that a lot of people will recommend is Golf is Not a Game of Perfect, as well as some other podcasts and stuff like that. And just, investigating into what other people were experiencing as well to kind of help me through some of that.
Do another one, a little harder. That was fine. It all looked good, you just didn't put everything into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of throw it directly at the basket and the disc will do the rest. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a long putt.
Yeah. That is the closest I've ever been. One of the worst experiences I had this season was my first A tier. I was so tired of playing so badly that I was like, I'm just not gonna care at all. But if you know me, which most of you probably don't, but if you do know me, you know that it's impossible for me not to care. And me trying to have an I don't care mindset backfired even worse, because it was glass blown open. They do tee offs and everything, and as soon as they say Maya Ringgold, I get up to the tee pad and it hits me like a brick wall, and my heart starts pounding, and I shank it into the first available spruce or whatever those trees are, and that tournament went downhill, 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 downhill. Because I was so in my head, I was rushing shots, I didn't feel confident, I was just mentally all over the place. And I just couldn't handle the pressure. Probably could have tried a little harder. And that leads me to one of the next things I learned, which is your rating does not define you. I realized that my rating did not feel like a reflection of the player that I felt like I was. Was I playing to that? No. But I knew I could do a lot better, and so I kind of had to shift my mindset about ratings and see it more of like a statistic of where I usually have been playing, but not where my skill is determined. And that was very clear when I played in Montenegro, because I ended up shooting a rating almost 2 rounds almost 100 points above my rating at the time. And I ended up winning that tournament. And I went into that tournament with the mentality of, I have nothing to lose, I'm here to have a good time, I can get whatever place and it doesn't matter. Like I was very calm and collected. I had confidence in myself and I didn't have high expectations. That was sneaky. One of the next things that I learned was about focusing on what you can control. And Yuli has a pretty good philosophy on this. But we like to make goals for ourselves, like, oh, my goal is I'm gonna win this tournament, or my goal is to have XX rated round. But the reality is those are all things that we can't control. And by focusing on what we can control, the outcome will be a lot better and we'll feel better about the result of the tournament or how we played. So an example of this would be controlling the shots that you take, your decision making, your mental mindset of what you're doing, and not focusing on the fact that, you know, someone on a different card just had the best tournament of their lives. We can't control those things, but what we can control is how we approach every decision and how we approach our mental mindset going into the tournament and going into every shot. The truth is, bad rounds are normal and it happens. We're not going to play our best every single time. And the best thing that you can do is learn from the mistakes that you made during those rounds and view each tournament as a learning opportunity to get better and progress. Which one thing I did this year is I played up a lot. I played in the advanced division before I was playing as an advanced player, and what that did for me is it taught me how to play at that level. I learned things from people by playing up that I probably wouldn't have if I played in a division that maybe I was a little more comfortable or competitive in.
Far up there for your normal shot, you know?
Yeah, I'm not even full powering these. But here's the thing, playing up can make you uncomfortable. It's just, you kind of have to learn to get used to being uncomfortable, because you don't grow as a player from being comfortable. And so I continuously put myself in high pressure situations so that when it came to executing and when it came to playing in tournaments, I was used to the pressure. Does that mean that I didn't ever make mistakes? No, but I got a lot more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Well, it was just such a clean, low beamer.
Playing in the amount of tournaments that I did this year can definitely be exhausting in some ways, but The experience that I've learned has really helped me grow, and there's a lot of value in experience because you get used to finding yourself in, sticky situations. Maybe, oh, okay, I'm off the fairway, but I've been off the fairway before, so I know how to navigate this. Or, oh, I took a bogey and I should have parred this. Well, you know what? That doesn't mean my game's over. And so I think that there's a lot of value and experience in getting out there. With the experience stuff, it takes time to get better, and know that if you're putting in the work, you will get better. I worked really hard on my backhand form this year, and I've had highs and lows. And recently, going through a form change, it felt like it was taking forever, and then it finally clicked. So just know, if you're putting in the work, hard work does pay off, and the frustration is normal. The form change pain is normal. And know that you have time. It's going to happen. And a note on time, when you're playing around, you don't have to rush your shot. I notice a lot of new players when they're first starting out with tournaments, to include myself, rush shots because they feel like they don't want to hold everybody up, but most likely you have the time. Dang it, I took that way too high. To kind of wrap up some of my takeaways from this year, I'm gonna spitball a few more. Definitely you want to play your own game. Don't compare yourself to others. Just because someone else is doing a forehand doesn't mean you need to do a forehand. If you know, like, you have a good backhand turnover, do your backhand turnover. Do what you're comfortable with. One thing I learned from one of the books I mentioned earlier was about your think box. Like, once you approach your lie, be committed to whatever shot or decision that you said that you were going to do while you were walking up to it. If you have that commitment and you have that confidence, you're able to envision the shot that you want to execute on and have all of that going for you, you will do what you want to do. But if you go up there with hesitation, most likely you won't. And you're gonna be frustrated and you're gonna create additional mental stress. And sometimes playing is just about mitigating your stress. If you know putts stress you out, try and get good on your upshots. Of course, work on your putts, but working on your upshots to get you closer to the basket to have an easier putt is one way that you can mitigate your stress accumulation. One of the biggest things that I learned is, or not really learned, but just one of the things that I did throughout my tournaments was made friends with the people on my card. I was good to them, had good sportsmanship. Even if you feel like crap about how you played, showing that excitement for the other person and being happy for the other person, even when you don't always feel that way, can go a long way. Even when you're stressed out, don't take it out on your card mates because you never know where that will go. If you want to further your mental game, I know a lot of what I've talked about has been mental based, but that's really the biggest takeaway that I've had throughout the 21 events that I played, is how important your mental game is and working on overcoming that. Of course, like, I still have bad rounds and things aren't perfect, but if you want some additional resources, I'll link those books down in the description, and you can also go check out Basket Case, which is a podcast solely focused on disc golf and mental game. It's a really good podcast, and I definitely think you should check it out. Some other resources would include Power Disc Golf Academy, and the Mylett Show has been really good for helping me with my mental game as well. And I've had a lot of other people support me along this way just because they believe in me and they have cared about my growth. And so if you've been one of those people, thank you, and I appreciate it. Dang it. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. This year has definitely been a roller coaster, but I feel like I've progressed really far, and I've met so many amazing people in the community, made so many great friendships, and had so many wonderful experiences, and it makes me super excited for the 2024 disc golf season. If you want to follow along for next year, please consider giving this video a like and possibly subscribing. Till next time.